and welcome back to another episode of Tearing Up Your Bible. I haven't been able to put out any videos recently. We had a small family vacation, and then a mission trip, and then a death in the family. So the last 3 months have really gone by in a blur. I hope to put out some more content on a more regular basis moving forward. So today we're going to hop into the book of James and dive right in. In this particular Bible, I have quite a bit of free space here at the book's end, and I hope that we can utilize this space pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start as I normally do and put in some of my key information here at the top. I would like to know who the author is, maybe roughly the time frame that he is writing. Maybe there's a location in which he's writing. I want to put that information here to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, we have the critical information here at the top. The author is James, as the name of the letter would suggest, and most likely the brother of Jesus. The dating is probably around the 40s BC. Some dated earlier in the 40s, some dated later in the 40s, but it's my personal belief that James is probably one of the earliest letters written in the New Testament. The audience would appear to be the early Jewish Christians. He mentions in verse 1 to the 12 tribes of the dispersion. It would appear that this would be wording primarily to individuals who were right around the Acts chapter 8 time frame, before Gentiles really started being included in the church. So that is my take on that, and that's why I put this information here at the top. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and add a couple charts here in the back of James. We have two charts we want to use. One is the parallels between James's letter and the Sermon on the Mount. I think this is a fairly well talked about subject, and we're going to go ahead and put a chart here and then make some correlating marks throughout the text. There's a second parallel, however, that happens here inside of James, and that is between James and Leviticus chapter 19. So we're going to make up two charts, one for the comparisons between James and the Sermon on the Mount, and the other between James and Leviticus chapter 19. Both of those will have their own individual colors, and I'm going to go ahead and make the charts and then go ahead and mark them up inside the text so that whenever we reference the text, we're able to flip back and see where those are. I'm going to go ahead and make those charts real quick, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. All right, we have made our markings. We have put our key here at the beginning of the book. Anything in green will be the connections between the Sermon on the Mount, and anything in purple will be the connections between Leviticus 19. I went ahead and made the markings throughout the 5 chapters accordingly, and have put a chart in the back. These charts will be on the Facebook page if you would like to go ahead and check those out. I will have both of these charts linked there along with the link of this video. And there are some of them that have overlapped, and so what I've done is I have added both a green line and a purple line and the colored references accordingly. The reason that I went ahead and did these two first before anything else is that I wanted to make sure that I didn't overlap any colors. I wanted to have two colors that were purely reserved for these two charts. And by doing that, I can then plan the rest of my colors accordingly. So in the chart, anything in green has to do with the Sermon on the Mount, anything in purple has to do with Leviticus, and that is consistent through the entire book of James. And so all of that is done. There's a couple other things I would like to do. I would like to make just a few more cross-references to make sure that the book doesn't get overly cluttered. I won't be making too many. And then I'm going to make some highlights. These are just particular verses that are interesting to me, the ones that pop out to me quite frequently. Now, the cross-references that you make and the highlighting that you make is completely individualistic. I will go ahead and put a description of these verses down in the description. If you would like to check them out, they will be there. I'm going to go ahead and make both of those notations real quick and show you what it looks like in just a minute. All right, we have finished making the markings here in our Bible. In this case, in James chapter 1 and verse 5, I both had a reference to Matthew and the Sermon on the Mount, And also, I wanted to make a cross-reference. I didn't want all this to get muddled in this case, so I just made a bracket and put my cross-reference there. I went ahead and highlighted a few passages. Some of them are also the same passage that I cross-referenced, but not all of them. And one of the things I like about highlighting is that you can both have an underlined cross-reference and a highlight, and it doesn't look too muddled or too confusing. So I went ahead and put some of those throughout the book here, and I went ahead and made my notes and my cross-references. All of that information, again, will be down in the description. But this is what our book of James looks like in the end. This has a lot of advantages. The next time I open up James, all this information will be here that I took time to put in today. And that will pay dividends in the future. If you ever want to make a comparison in a personal study or in a study with some other individuals on the similarities between James and the Sermon on the Mount, all of that information is here and quickly accessible. If you would like to make a short talk or a sermon on these things, that's here as well. And the same thing when it comes to Leviticus 19. This information may be shared in most Bible classes, but I think this one might be new to a lot of Bible classes. And if you have this in your Bible, you will be kind of one step ahead of most people when it comes to that information in your Bible class. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope that we can continue on with this series, Lord willing, and look forward to see you next time.